Hold tight, y'all. I promise we're gonna get started. Give me 1 second. Let me just get something squared away. I hope y'all enjoyed NXT because it was really good. Great American Bash was this week. It's also going to be next week. They did make the announcement of the next set of matches that are set to happen next week. So I'm gonna get the matches out the way that I didn't really care for. It's dead ass serious. I was not the biggest fan of a lot of matches that we saw, but all of the matches were good. They were all good quality. They were all fun to watch. I just didn't give a shit about at least two of them. So let me preface this by saying that I enjoy the wrestling. I enjoyed the storytelling. It was fun. I thought it was cute. I thought it was campy. It was fun. Why is the TV so loud? But let's start this off right. All right. So let me pull up the match card so we can see it. Okay. I think I can get all these in here. Hello to everybody in here. How y'all doing? Hello, hello. So let's start off with my least favorite match. Some of the matches that was on the match card were not. Why isn't it uploading everything? It's like plenty of space and it won't upload it. It's pissing me off, bro. So let's start off with this match first. Tag team match was up first. There was something else that came first. I can't remember. Um, it was good. I was kind of sad that Jakara and Lash didn't get the W. I knew they weren't, but it was just the way Alba and Isla came at them. They attacked them before the match could even get started, which that kind of sucked for me. But whatever. Whatever makes you happy. They did put up a good fight, but ultimately Alba and Isla maintained their titles. Obviously for the sake of Jade and Bianca to go up against them later on this Friday for those tag team titles. Uh Ethan Page came out there going after Oro and he got pseudo pinned again. It was given very much John Cena when John Cena was going after Roman and pinning him without no official count, just embarrassing him. You know what I'm saying? That's what it gives. Later on in that night, we got the confirmation that they will face off against each other at the next week at the Great American Bash. They're finally gonna fight and we'll see. And Oro made it very clear. He said, even though these little roll ups and these little pins don't count, your little ego couldn't take it. He said, I've been coming after you for weeks, taking you out systematically, but I had to literally hurt your feelings in order for you to feel like I was a necessary threat. And that's the problem. Which, in Oro's defense, he's 100% correct. It's the way that Ethan Page just has this slimy aspect to his character that you generally despise. Okay. The whole problem with him is that he literally fell into a championship and has been acting as if he is holier than thou this whole time, which of course you're gonna have those kinds of champions, but it's just like, bro, like at this point, calm down. Okay. Calm down. Like relax. You just got the title. You just got it. It's not that deep. But of course, Ethan believes he somehow is superior to everyone because he's champion. To be fair, he's not superior, but he is considered the top superstar, the top billing star. We'll go into that later as to why I think that he's a star. He's just not the top billing star. Now, if I had to pick a particular match between Jakara, Isla, and Alba, and Lash, I would say that that match was a good 7 out of 10. I thought all the ladies did exceptionally well. I thought Lash looked great, but they didn't really give Lash a lot of time in the ring to do what she normally does. Like, we didn't get to see her true strength in that match, which I was kind of sad about. But for the most part, she did well. Given the time frame she was given, she did well. Um, hold tight. I got a couple more things to get out. So we got So let's move into some of the vignettes that happened during the show. Okay. We saw what Pete was saying about Trick Williams and about people figuring it out. He explained why he and Sheamus ain't exactly in the same, why they aren't seeing eye to eye. He essentially was like, they brought me over here. They gave me a shitty nickname. They made me work like I was some goddamn psychopath. And then Sheamus leaves. Don't see him. It gets tough for Ridge. He runs, leaves me hanging. And I'm here to pick up the pieces. I had to figure it out. So y'all need to figure it out. And he's trying to teach Trick Williams a lesson. A lesson that what he's trying to teach him essentially is when everything is going down and the world is crumbling around you, you got to figure that shit out, bro. It's a hard lesson, but it's a lesson nonetheless. Quite frankly, I'm not necessarily mad at Pete because sometimes a little tough love is where you need to go. Fully understand his reasoning with Sheamus and, of course, with Ridge. And I kind of get where he's coming from with Trick. Trick can't always rely on what everybody else says. The simplest explanation is you want your title back, go back after it. It's right there. It's not like anybody else is truly challenging for it. Page hasn't had a real competitor go up against him for that title at all. His most dangerous competitor right now is Oro Mensa, and it's no shade to Oro, but we all know he's not winning next week with that title. Okay. So if you want the championship back and you feel like you're at the back of the line, work your way back up to the front. It's simple. So last week, Pete attacked Trick after his match with Cedric. He then made his vignette. He said what he said, and then there was a match made. Trick was standing there and watched the vignette, and he was like, "Okay, Pete, that's cool, but ain't gonna be no whoop that Trick. It's gonna be whoop your ass." So essentially, Trick Williams is gonna fight Pete Dunne next week. We love that. Good for you guys. Now, Cedric Alexander was backstage and he was also talking to some of the NXT recruits and, basically telling them, that what he was trying to tell Trick Williams is the same thing that he would tell them. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. You have to leave your emotions behind because the emotions is what could cause you to make serious mistakes. And of course, Sean Spears coming up there dressed like Neo from the Matrix, talking about some, nah, your teachings don't work. Clearly, that's not the case. You saw what happened with Trick. You lost to Trick Williams. Obviously, your teachers don't work, but you see what I did with Brooks. He is prepared. When you open your minds, you can be a winner. He was like, I would have told Sean Spears, bug eyed ass, like, dude, listen, just because you like sitting in the dark listening to Creed does not make your mind open or higher. Okay. It don't matter how many robes you put on, how many times you study Morpheus from the Matrix. It doesn't matter. You have not opened your mind any further than you already have it. Okay. You can smoke as much hash as you want, as much weed as you want, do as much coke as you want. Whatever makes you happy, baby. But that don't make your mind open. It just make you high. Okay. And we saw what your teachers did for Brooks. I mean, he basically went out there and busted his own leg when all he had to do was just beat Cedric. For the most part, that match was okay, but he fucked up his own match with his own emotions. You talking about his mind was open, but he's not controlling himself. He has no conviction. And that's a problem because exactly what Cedric said, is when you don't control your emotions, it can get the better of you, is exactly what happened to your homeboy. So it sounded to me like the best person to go to would be Cedric, because Cedric is trying to tell you, like, you got to keep your focus. You got to keep logic at the forefront and move in silence, babe. Okay, make it running up on folks, hollering and screaming every 2 seconds don't make you a better wrestler or better competitor. It just make you loud and wrong. Okay, loud and wrong. Moving on. Okay, we're moving on. We're not even staying there. Heritage Cup happened. It was a good matchup. I'm not gonna lie. The boys had a good fight. Um, I didn't care enough to watch the full match. I'm not gonna lie to you, because the Heritage Cup matches are long. They're unnecessarily long for me, and so I didn't watch it. I know who won. Tony D won. I did get to see the end. Great for him. Tavion Heights put on a awesome match against Tony. I got to see it in parts. He won. Good for him. I didn't care to. I don't know what was Ren Sinclair doing out there. I didn't get to see all of that, but she was out there. So yeah, I just didn't care enough to watch it, baby. I'm sorry. There's no shade to them. I just didn't want to watch it. This match right here, I knew that the bozos in the back were the ones who were going to win. Didn't care about it. I thought all 6 women performed well, except for old girl with the red on. She did okay. She finally did a different move from that Pele kick, and then she did the Pele kick, and I was like, well, okay, great. Everybody did well in this match, but it wasn't a match that I cared for. I don't care for Fallon. Fallon and JC's plight is really weird to me. It doesn't make any sense for them to be mad at the world because they can't seem to win a singular match on their own. And even when they cheat, they lose. It makes it really null and void. And this is the same thing that I was saying about Sonya and her merry band of idiots. When you have a faction like this, right, or you're creating one and you create a problem out of thin air, there needs to be a thin veil of truth here, right? You see, Fallon doesn't really have that argument because Fallon had an opportunity and she lost it. The same opportunity that Soul had, Fallon had, and she lost. Now, if anybody can feel like they're being passed over, JC Jane can feel that way because JC, before she got injured, wasn't in the title scene for the main title at all. She was never. And even when they had brought in the Women's North American Championship, JC wasn't in that title scene either. She either lost in that cup they did. The what was it called? The combine. She either lost in the combine or she was still injured facially and they didn't let her compete. She wasn't going to be able to compete until she got the mask. Like, your only argument is tired of getting passed over, but when you are given the ball, be the guy, you drop it. When you finally are able to make the shot and win the game, you miss on some laces out shit. Okay, like you always fumble, and it's like, girl, you can't complain when you don't do what you're supposed to do on your end. This is not about rookies and veterans. It's not about that at all. Because the girls that you were there with from the very beginning have passed you. Fallon, I'm talking to you, Fallon, JCU too. The girls that was there, because you was there. See, this is the thing. Everybody forget. JC Jane's ass was there when NXT Black and Gold was still in existence. Her ass was there. Okay. Her peak was with Toxic Attraction. So you trying to convince me. And back then, she would have been considered a noob. She would have been a rook, right? You trying to convince me that now we are here some years later and now they're taking your opportunities? Nah, fam. Nah. Because nothing Soul, and I don't even like Lola like that, but there's nothing that Soul, Lola, or Carmen have acquired or obtained that none of y'all could have gotten. There's nothing. Nobody said anything about a title shot for them. Jakara and Lash challenged the tag team champions to a title shot, and it was granted by the champions. Had nothing to do with y'all being a ragtag tag team. If we being honest, you hoes are a ragtag tag team. Why would Fallon team up with JC when for a whole year JC Jane was giving Fallon the blues? Makes no sense to me. Y'all ain't even attempt to make up. Only thing you did was you saved Fallon's ass in a match once and was like, we ain't got no beef with you. We only got beef with such and such. And it was just like, so for the last year and a half, what you been doing? You've been a bug up my ass for the last year and a half, and now all of a sudden you ain't got no beef with me. Why? Because I don't fuck with nobody. I don't fuck with you either. I told him straight up, I don't fuck with you either. Fallon can't stand on her own 2 feet for 5 minutes. She leave Brooks and Jensen, lead them right back in another group. Do not inspire a lot of confidence in you, babe. But they won the match, so I guess that proves that the vets deserve the opportunities over the noobs. I guess. I didn't like the match. I didn't care for it. I was just like, whatever. Because I knew what was going to happen. Joe Hendry's concert. It was fun. I love Joe Hendry. It was fun. He was making fun of Gallus, which I kind of figured he would. Gallus came out there and ruined it. Joe Coffey is a God. You ever seen Gollum from I have to show y'all what I'm talking about because sometimes a visual will help you out, right? Like you have to see it. It's funny. Oh shit. Then name friend. I'm trying to find a good picture of him. They won't let me be great. Okay, I found one. So like Joe Coffey comes out there and he just looks like an overly buff Gollum. Just always holler. He screeches. He doesn't talk. He screeches like a crow. He's just screaming at the top of his lungs. And it's just like a short little man to be screaming because he feels like that makes him tall. It doesn't. It doesn't, babe. He just him and his big buff dude Wolfgang and his brother Mark are out there mad because Joe Coffey made his jokes about them. They then attack Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry made his jokes about them. They attack Joe Hendry, beat him up, and tar across his back. Joe Hendry gets ready to leave after they beat the hell out of him. And essentially he says, I was very disappointed because this was this was my time to put it out there for everybody to see so they can see me. People wanted to see Joe Hendry. People believe in Joe Hendry, but it's okay because next week it's going to be me versus Joe Coffey because he's the leader of the Merry Band of Idiots, and I'm going to make them believe in Joe Hendry. So Joe Hendry will face off against Joe Coffey next week. We saw some matches that were not. He do look like a golem, like a buff ass golem. So, so there were some matches that weren't scheduled to be on the card. Like I said, Brooks and Jensen. Brooks had a match with Cedric Alexander and he lost. Jada Parker had a match with that girl Candon. Is that her name? What is that girl's name? Caden? I can't think of her name. It's too many Cadens and shits going on here. But she came out there with Carly. Carly came out there with her actually. Let me see if they got her up here. Cause I don't know her name. I know what she looked like. I just don't know her name. I have no idea what her name is. I have no clue. Anyways, oh, it's Kendall. Okay. I mean, she just looks like a call creation, so it doesn't. She's a good wrestler, though. I just need her to create her character and come up with something. But she's got great wrestling prowess and is very good in the ring. Um, Kendall and Jada Parker had a match, and it was pretty decent. But Kendall got distracted by Miles and Ren Sinclair. I don't really understand why they came out there in the first place. I could kind of get it if Kendall came out there while was out there rooting for Tavion, then I probably would have been able to be like, okay, kind of understand that. But this is all stemming from when Kendall basically suplexed Miles the last time, and then she did it again today because he was out there messing with Carly while she was wrestling one of them last week. I don't know. But ultimately, Kendall lost to Jada. Jada looked great in that match, but those girls was fighting. Like, it was a really good matchup between Kendall and Jada Parker. They did an excellent job. The other match that was more of an impromptu match and wasn't necessarily announced. Oh God, what was it? Oh shit.
All I'm still don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't deserve.
Okay. So the Rascals essentially, well, MSK more specifically, were very, very upset that they, had never really lost the championships. And hold on a second. Let me get these graphics uploaded. Give me one
Still
second.
don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't deserve.
Okay. So oh wow. I can't see nothing. That's crazy. I hope y'all can hear me. Any whoosies. I hope y'all can hear me, child. Anyways, they was making their claims to the tag team titles because they never lost them, and they basically, because Zachary was kicked out of NXT, which they didn't bring up, but of course they never lost the titles, and they wanted to get their titles back, and so they basically were like, well, we did pin Axiom last week, and we were we never dropped those tag team titles, so we do kind of have a stake in that getting those titles back. So they made it official. MSK is officially reformed, obviously, with their third rascal in tow. But if they win these titles, they most definitely can carry those championships in TNA because Zachary Wentz still is a TNA wrestler. So they could very well be defending that title in a TNA show or PLE very soon, which would be a very interesting thing because WWE's championships have never left WWE programming as far as I can remember. And it would be very, very interesting to see the actual champions pop up over in TNA, whereas there's been no champions pop up in TNA as of lately. And having the tag team champions pop up over there, fully clothed and dripped in WWE gold, would be a very, very interesting turn of events. Now, of course, Axiom and Frazier are not on the same page. If you recall, about a month ago, Frazier was more focused on his individuals than he was on the tag team titles. Now that Axiom is focused on his individuals and not them as a team, Frazier seems to be very worried about whether they can win or not, especially after they suffered a loss to the Rascals when they had Javon Evans as their tag team partner. So when Axiom just blindly signs this contract without consulting with Nathan Frazier first, he gets a little frustrated because Axiom seems to be ignoring Frazier and moving in a different direction without him. Sounds vaguely familiar, but Frazier doesn't seem to see too far past his face. However, I do think that they will drop these tag team titles next week. And to be fair, I ultimately believe that they should. Not necessarily to the Rascals or rather MSK. It can be any tag team, but they definitely need to drop them. With that being said, Tatum Paxley has been freaking out Kaylani Jordan as of lately. For whatever reason, let's say Tatum's quirkiness doesn't mesh well with Kaylani's can do, dedicated attitude. She wants Tatum to pretty much be normal and stop being weird. But Tatum is who she is. I would embrace the girl. I learned very early on to let people be who they are, and Tatum is who she is. If she wanted to play with dolls, I'd be like, girl, which one of them is me? I play for a couple hours and be like, okay, girl, I got to go. That way, when somebody come back up and do some pew pew shit, they just gonna give you some candy and keep it moving. They ain't gonna mess with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you wasn't mad at the weird person. You know, I'm just saying, words to live by. That's how you survive out here in these streets. Anyway, just saying. Now, Wendy keep walking around basically being like Tatum's pseudo protector, and Kaylani made it very clear that she doesn't play with dolls and she's too old to do that. And Tatum is just like, well, then I want to play with your toy. And she was like, no, I don't play about this. This is not something that I play about. And she was like, neither do I. So I guess I'll see you next week. To which Wendy was standing right behind her, giving her, quite the glare. So next week is going to be Kaylani Jordan defending her women's North American championship against the ever incomparable Tatum Paxley. Now here's the match that I really enjoyed that I was pretty sad about. Roxanne Perez went up against Thea Hill, and I have to say, Thea Hill really took Roxanne as far as she could take her. I feel like if that match had went on just a minute or two longer, Thea could have pulled out the win. But Roxanne is one of those type of competitors that is beyond determined to incessantly win at all costs. Roxanne is a very cold and calculated superstar, and in this case, Thea Hill just couldn't best Roxanne's second wind. And I felt bad for her. I really did, because Thea did absolutely amazing. She was a stellar competitor. Quite frankly, I enjoyed her match more than I enjoyed Lola's. And that's no disrespect to Lola. She put up a good fight. But Thea really grappled and ripped and ran with her. She was covering her step by step. There were very few moments where Roxanne was just in fully control, and Thea was just some little, she was just somebody that was being dominated. That never happened. There was a point where obviously she had control, Thea had control, and it was back and forth, but it was never just a one-sided fight. It was a very even playing field, and anybody could have won. I just wish that Thea would have won. In my opinion, Roxanne being champion has run its course. This whole I deserve respect bullshit has run its course. I know a lot of people want Julia to get her and Stephanie Vacura to get her, and I'm okay with both of those women being free and ready to wrestle in WWE. But I feel like Thea would have been a good transitional champion, and they could have given that belt to anybody, and it still would mean, even if Julia comes, Julia could still come in and get that title. Doesn't It didn't really matter. I really wanted Thea to get that championship tonight, and it was just disappointing. But again, wrestling evokes emotion. It's supposed to. And whether you have a happy emotion, sad emotion, an angry emotion, it is what it is. So we have to accept it and move forward. And that's what we're going to do. So Roxanne won. We still got to listen to her complaining about how nobody respects her and nobody likes her and whatever. Next week is going to be, well, after SummerSlam, is going to finish the Great American Bash. So we're going to continue on with the rest of the matches. Joe Hendry's going to face off against Joe Coffey. Tatum Paxley is going to face off against Kaylani Jordan. And we're going to see the Rascals compete against Nathan and from Axiom for those tag team titles, as well as Oro Mensah going after Ethan Page for his NXT Men's Championship. And Trick Williams will face off against Pete Dunne. Those are the matches that are scheduled and have been announced. I'm very curious as to how this is going to play out. Ladies and gentlemen, SummerSlam is on Saturday. Friday is here in Cleveland on SmackDown. The world is getting ready to start descending on Cleveland. It's going to be an interesting time, people. There are some places here that you can go and visit, some places that you should go and eat. And I think on Wednesday, when we start the show, that's what I'm going to do, is give you guys my fun places here for you to go in Cleveland and in surrounding cities. There's plenty of things for you to do here. So if you come here by Wednesday and you're in town and you want to know what to do or where you can go, I'm going to help you guys out as a local. Because there's a bunch of shit here in Cleveland that I don't even know about. We be finding out through, what was that, Jerry? What was that one show we be watching in the morning? That one tank trips, them one tank trips they put on the morning. Mm-hmm. That'd be some weird ass shit, going to Knott's Farm and shit. The Amish country. The Amish country is a real good spot. That's a good place to go when you want some shit. But anyways, we'll talk, and I'll have my people come in and we can talk about everything. So we do a little tour guide of Cleveland. We'll run down SummerSlam. We'll talk about next week's NXT Great American Bash. We're going to talk about it all. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.